everybody to the Swiss stage of Worlds 2024, the last day of this part of the Swiss stage, then 2 days break. That unfortunately also means that we will say goodbye to 2 teams today. My name is Shocked, and I'm joined here at the Riot Games Arena in beautiful Berlin. It was actually sunny today.
It was so sunny. What happened?
From yesterday, I'm pretty sure. GAM time? Who knows?
I think it's sunny right now.
It is.
You guys are coping. It was sunny for like 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm here with Jan and with Kobe, as you have doubtlessly already heard. And we will be going through this day, which could be a great day for them. Or it could be
it's going to be a really good day.
For all of us, okay? We're all going to be winners today.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe not. We'll see.
Do you think something else is going to happen that's not an MDK and a TL victory?
There is also a draw at the end of the day. Now I'm thinking about that.
Okay.
All right, let's take stock of kind of the tournament so far, some of the results and the bracket, and potential draws. We'll have them at the end of the day. So there are some dangerous routes. There's some dangerous situations.
So if you're playing Minesweeper, we already know where the mine is right now. And BLG being 1 and 2 in the pool, the executioners are there. Everyone's trying to avoid that. That is crazy that BLG are down there.
They were supposed to be up there.
Yeah.
But they're down here.
Hey, I wanted to take a look at some of the Hupu comments. I guess it's like
gotta read quick.
Chinese Reddit. And if you think we're mean over here on Reddit, look at this. Every time Worlds comes around, I remember how to turn invisible and forget it afterwards, and this is about night.
Yeah.
2.4 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, Hubu always goes very extreme with all the reactions.
Yeah.
But, you know, BLG being down here, I would say all of the other teams in the 1-2 pool don't think that they're invisible. And are very much paying attention to them. So we'll see how that draw goes.
But at the same time, maybe they're going to keep losing.
If they bomb
they actually might.
It will be crazy.
2 times ago when we were in Europe, the #1 seed from the LPL didn't make it to quarters. It was LGD back then.
Yeah, Splice
it's
them,
an
I think.
LPL tradition.
It happens. Anyways, if you think it's only if you're losing too much that they're mean, it's not true. Even when you're winning. 369's been catching a lot of strays in the Hufu comments. It's funny because they keep referencing back the flame. It's quite funny.
I think that most of them stem from the Rumble game, right?
Versus Gen G.
Getting killed a whole bunch.
Maybe try 60-0 next time. See if that helps. 3.3 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, he was up versus Gen G. Come on.
Exactly. They lost 1 time. Oh no, to Gen G. You know, another of the tournament favorites.
Yes.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah,
right?
fair.
Yeah, you're okay with it?
Right there.
Yeah. Well, they can't play T1 again. That's the other thing about the draw that's going to happen. Is it's going to be a complicated draw with no rematches.
I mean, coming into the tournament too, people were not that scared of T1. T1's recent form didn't cause a lot of fear, but now after that victory, everyone's looking at the meta change for FLICKR, going to be great, and T1 at Worlds, you always get like this aura buff.
You know how some guys are like, if anyone's been ripped before, and then they're like not ripped for a bit.
It's easy to regain.
It's way easier to get ripped again because of the muscle memory.
Yeah.
Why do people think that T1 is just like suddenly not good?
Because we watched Summer.
Yeah, but they're just getting ripped again. Like they were just deloading, and now they're bulking up again.
They didn't skip that step of getting kind of weak though.
No, never. They got to do that every year.
They've been great the whole time. Hey, also we were really happy yesterday. Both FlyQuest and G2 got a win. Let's start with the G2 one because obviously I'm biased. About Caps, they said every year we have you to catch the tiger. Felt surprisingly reliable. The legendary tiger catcher about Xiaohu is the spring king. But unfortunately at Worlds it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, at Worlds in Europe, where Caps is the king, there you go. And to me, yeah, Caps, you can always rely on him for Europe. He's like the king of Europe. But Broken Blade, who,
pretty
by
good.
the way, we kind of like share a little bit of ownership. Like Broken Blade, he learned a lot in NA.
He won the LCS before he won the LEC.
German Turkish, okay? You do not have any claim
But Broken Blade on the Galio, I'm just like, Broken Blade is also an inspiration, I feel like, performing super well. So very happy for them.
We were talking about the lore actually about the Galio because there were also the Hupu comments about like PTSD for Xiaohu from the Galio from FLICKR 2017, and you said that's actually another meme that got warped.
They got memes on memes, Josh.
That's crazy.
That's good.
That's the explanation. Memes on memes.
Yeah, memes on memes.
Tell the story.
That's
They're
it.
gonna layer them on.
And talking about the West FlyQuest yesterday.
Woo!
Wait, what a nervy game though.
Yeah,
Never
but they
worried.
won. but they won. They're in the 2-1 pool because they're the same quality as all the other teams in the pool.
Yeah.
Is what we've learned.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh my God, that was such a scary game because Bwipo looked like he was just going to keep running it down on Renekton until he ran it down in a good way. They didn't even take him below half health. He engaged this amazing fight in the mid lane.
He got some really, really glorious comments on Hoopo as well. Yeah, I just want to shout out the user Senlands at WH for providing all these amazing translations always on Reddit. There's also a Hoopo account on X you can follow that has these ones, and they always have the spice. So, but let's get into our first best of 3 of the day. Mad Lions Koi versus GAM, and Lore caught up with Melzet, their coach of Mad Lions Koi, in today's Verizon Game Day interview.
Melzet, thank you so much for joining me ahead of this important series for you guys. You tweeted some stuff a couple of days ago about reactions from the fans on social media, about the champions and what you have been drafting. Can you tell me more about this reaction and also how much it affected you guys and the players maybe?
I think people in social media tends to analyze games just by champions or builds and flame the players because of that. It happens also to Hansama with the Lord Dominic and all of that. And the reason behind losing a game is not just the champions and the build only, it's a small percentage. And I think that affects a lot of the players. I'm tired of that shit. So I tweeted that because I was angry. We are here to learn. We were learning how to play against the best teams in the world. So yeah, the champions are not the problem.
Keeping these fundamentals in mind and hoping that you guys are ready for today, what has been your biggest improvement from the game you played against PSG to be ready today for this series?
I think we are now more confident on what we are trying to do now, about how we play the map, how we hold the spots, how we play the waves. So I hope that shows off. Anyway, we came from losers, so the confidence is not super high, but I hope we can show it.
You can thrive in these kind of situations, I believe in you. Thank you so much, Melzet, and best of luck today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it can be rough at Worlds, but also in general. People always have something to say. Melzet,
I hear what he's saying.
Do you agree?
It depends.
I would say draft is part of it. You know, there are some like big sins that that people have come to recognize, and giving away Yone is like one of the biggest sins right now. And especially if you have good combinations with the champion. We're also seeing all the success of Rumble and everything. So that's where the stuff builds from. Obviously, not one thing is always going to be the problem.
Yeah. Where I agree is where he says not just.
Yeah.
Right? Because I do think it was an issue, but it's like, if you have a lot of problems with your car, like if you don't have a door and you have a flat tire, and everyone's talking about
but in this case they didn't have an engine,
not having the door. Well, that depends on how you look at it.
Perhaps. Who knows?
We can move on.
Anyways, we shall move on. It is an elimination series for both of these teams, and very different context, but we can feel, or we can find rather common ground as well. It is Mad Lions Koi now, but I think a lot of people still kind of connect the Mad Lions brand with some of the failures at Worlds, but they also had some great successes, and I think the fact that it's the rookies in Elyoya now making it to Swiss is great, but they don't want to be knocked out yet.
Yeah, and all these MDK Worlds histories are the Elyoya era. He's been top 4 MSI 2021. He made it into the quarterfinals in Worlds 2021. Wants to be able to get back here, but we are in the lowest of the low bracket that you can get in the Swiss stage before being eliminated, so it's definitely time to step up.
At least not playing so that you get knocked out.
They did great.
Yeah.
They did great. Are you really in Swiss stage if you don't win a game, though?
You know, we'll see today.
Yes, you are. That was a trick.
Regardless, though, for GAM, I think in summary, ever since they burst onto the scene, I feel like there's a ceiling that they, for me, haven't been able to puncture yet. And of course, they'll have to survive today in order to show if they can. And
that's a good point, because they're at the ceiling right now. This is the ceiling. So if they start punching up, if they can actually break through, then it'll be super fun. I mean, this already, like, you're really happy for Levi and for Kiaya, and you're kind of like hoping for more success because they've gone through so much stuff with the league and all the troubles.
Absolutely, and of course next year there'll be the merger, so this is very important on many, many fronts. And talking about Kiaya and Levi, those really are the strong points that have also inspired us, I feel like, in their Worlds run right now.
For sure. I feel like GAM are definitely going to want to play top side of the map. Meanwhile, you look at Mad Lions, they're probably going to want to play the other side of the map, but top side for GAM, even in their losses, I always feel like Kiaya is doing so so much to try and get them back into a positive place in the game. Him and Levi have been the two biggest points of power. So that's why I kind of see this matchup as both teams focusing the opposite areas. I mean, we'll see about drafts, because draft, of course, it can always be crazy, especially with Myrwn. But I feel like that's where they should be, focusing. You mentioned Supa and Alvaro being so big for them in play-ins.
Yeah, Alvaro was the standout player for Mad Lions for me. Every time they needed the big play to happen in the play-in stage, he was absolutely there to make it. Just incredibly clutch. This was one moment where just like frame perfect interrupting Maple's Akali. This was a pretty much game-deciding moment. Another one here, PSG actually had the lead in this game. He stops LeBlanc completely in his tracks, and then Supa ended up getting incredibly fed on the backside of these fights and carried the team to victory. So those two almost need to reach back, to the type of confidence they were playing with in the play-in stage. And then the elephant in the room would be their solo laners needing to step up. But I think to Kobe's point, like, we're going to see, it's not a mirror, it's the bot lane versus the top lane. I think we're going to see a lane swap. Like, I really think we're going to see a hard lane swap to try and put Kiaya behind and allow the bot lane Supa and Alvaro to have roaming of the map. Exactly,
because the lane swap disproportionately benefits teams that want to play through their bottom lane, because top laners are the ones that starve. So if you're facing GAM, very good strategy to try and get their best players behind.
Yeah, do you feel like the meta is incredibly open, and then this best of 3, you can make certain choices very differently from the other team still? And is that, as a viewer, I feel like that's really fun to watch?
100%. I think the meta right now is really, really fun because they have not fully figured it out. And the best player in that wild card of picks is going to be Mad Lions. Bin had actually really funny trash talk versus Mad Lions at the beginning of the tournament. He was
this is when he should pull it out.
Yeah, he was like, you're going to need to save your crazy picks for when you are 0-1. But now they're facing elimination, 0-2 already. So they cannot save any strategies. You cannot save any crazy picks. Pull them all out now.
Yeah, and if you think, oh, well, wouldn't you want to take it, more standard because it is elimination? No, in game 5 versus G2, they pulled out the Nidalee. So they really don't care what time it is. They just want to win, quite obviously. But if we kind of summarize both of their stories, we touched on it already. This is, potential final showing for the VCS in this form of their league. We have the merger coming up with the PCS as well, which is a theme throughout today in the Battle of the Americas later as well. So I think it'll be very important for those guys who've been through a lot in the VCS and really don't want to go out with a whimper.
Absolutely. Levi is an absolute legend. He's a huge threat along with Kiaya. I think it will be an interesting meta to see what type of Shyvana action we see today.
Oh, yes, I almost forgot.
If it just
I think
gets
the action might be in the form of ban, yeah.
Okay, maybe.
I don't know. There's so many bans, and I know we don't have much time, but the Ziggs and Rumble are the AP threats that allow the AD mids to exist. And those have been taking up so much ban space that it's allowing other stuff through. So if you start banning the Shyvana, you're opening yourself up to the Yone stuff again. But that's for later in the series.
I mean, hopefully we'll see. We'll be able to talk about it, of course. I do want to check in with our MasterCard fan prediction of the day to see how our fans have voted. And yeah, MDK, 69.1%. Nice. And GAM, 30.
Because Mad is the favorite.
30.9%.
Nice.
I'm going to say, we were talking about this matchup before, and I feel like for MDK, I feel like they have regressed a little bit in the context of this tournament because they came out, they had the best of 3 that they won versus PSG to then promptly lose to PSG, right? They don't feel like themselves currently, and I think I need to see that again today.
All right, that's what happened to FLICKR at MSI. We had a little switcheroo with PSG as well.
It's the mental game. It's the mental side of the World Championship. Just because you're playing against a minor region team at Worlds doesn't mean they're going to be anything less than. And I got to remind people last year, I don't have to remind people what I'm going to. GAM knocked out a 0-2 TL in this exact same spot. So GAM is going to be the confident team in this situation. And MDK needs to overcome whatever tilt they're feeling from being down here in the first place.
Yeah, it almost feels like GAM are specialists in this.
0-2 specialists?
0-2 specialists, the final knockout to one of the teams that is expected. But yeah, we haven't...
How do you feel? Are you nervous?
I am a little bit nervous because on the one hand, I feel like they have shown a lot already and nobody even expected them to get to Worlds for Mad, but I hate giving up a team before they've played because I think that is disrespectful to what they could show, right? And you just have to look at the games. So we'll see. It's going to be either GAM or Mad Lions Koi that leave us, unfortunately, today after having fought valiantly. Let's continue with the Swiss stage of Worlds 2024.
And we're back. back for more worlds after such an exciting day number one. The Swiss only open things up.
They're gonna be a team that play more shit than us, more different champions.
I'm not sure. Maybe the Vietnamese league. They play a lot of crazy stuff. Of course, I'm sad. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm not playing my best still.
Yes, she get their revenge from playing.
I wanna figure out what's going on exactly, because I think we are capable of way more than what we are showing right now.
Mình nghĩ là mình đã trải qua khá nhiều cảm xúc tiêu cực. Có buồn, có thất vọng, có giận dữ về bản thân, có tiếc nuối. Nhưng mà sau tất cả thì ở thời điểm hiện tại thì mình nghĩ là mình cần phải phục hồi thật là nhanh chóng. Tại vì chung kết thế giới vẫn còn đó.
It's time to wake up. It's time to play with confidence. We have nothing to lose. We just need to prove everyone wrong again. And we just need to go with everything we have.
Ở những thời điểm như thế này thì thử thách rất là nhiều cái niềm tin vào những người đồng đội với nhau. Và nếu như bọn mình từ bỏ ở thời điểm hiện tại thì bọn mình sẽ không còn cơ hội có thể chiến thắng. Vậy nên bọn mình sẽ vẫn chọn tin tưởng lẫn nhau.
O nível aqui fora é muito alto.
And Pain Gaming can only watch as T1 rip them apart.
E a gente ainda tem muito para buscar. Mas a gente tem que encarar isso com bons olhos e usar isso como motivação para vir mais forte. Para mim o mais importante agora é o time não quebrar, continuar confiando uns nos outros, porque a gente precisa um dos outros para vencer. Enquanto a gente for um time, um confiar no outro, a gente ainda tem chance. Vai buscar essa redenção. Essa última chance que a gente tem.
I think when you have issues like this,
I actually thought Liquid had a good solid chance in that game, and then they threw it.
it's very important to look at the man in the mirror and just figure out how to fix it with yourself. My mentality is honestly just that we can do it.
Para os meus teammates, eu confio muito em cada um de vocês. Eu espero que vocês confiem em mim também.
We're currently in the same position we were last year.
TL though, obviously heartbreaking loss for them.
But the difference this time is we're still all mentally sound, and it feels very winnable. Keep believing in us, and we'll make it.
Cả đội đã vượt qua rất là nhiều khó khăn trong năm nay. Hãy cùng nhau cố gắng thêm một chút nữa.
We're not out of this tournament yet. We can still make it into the quarterfinal stage.
A gente pode não ser o melhor do mundo, mas a gente tem uma das melhores torcidas do mundo. Tamo junto, amo vocês. A gente vai dar tudo de si.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Worlds 2024. Today is Elimination Day. 2 best-of-3s and 2 teams leaving the Worlds stage. First up, Mad Lions going up against GAM. 2 enter, 1 remains. I'm Captain Flowers, joined today by Azael and Dagda to bring y'all the action. And I'm excited to see who's got what it takes to earn the right to stay here on this stage.
I mean, the pressure is really ramping up. No more second chances are remaining. These teams have got to put up or shut up.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it all boils down to today. GAM has had some great moments in this tournament. MDK, we've seen incredible performances from players like Alvaro, but you need to put everything on the line here today if you want to try and bring it home.
And honestly, it's 2 teams that basically have had the same tournament. They both did very well in play-ins. You know, GAM went undefeated in play-ins. Mad was really strong in play-ins as well, but haven't really been able to get it rolling on the main stage. They know that they can beat this team. They both are going to be feeling that. They both are going to be feeling confident coming into today's match. And I think it's really just going to be about who can play confident and who can actually really show up on the day.
And I think it's about going back towards your play style as well. And I think when I looked at MDK's last draft, they were going towards things like the Smolder and the Ziggs, which kind of just felt very out of their wheelhouse. They're a team that likes to come onto the map early, take over, and try and run away from the early game. And I felt like we didn't really get a chance to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as far as playing your own playstyle, Matt does not want Levi doing that on the Shyvana.
No.
Not only did he do well with it in play-ins, it was actually his most played throughout the year. In the VCS, was very, very effective on it. And I think Levi really is at his best when he's playing this farm-heavy style.
Yeah, and I'm curious now if there's the respect given to Kiaya as well, because I think his Jax in their last game was almost the reason they were able to turn that game around. So I think a lot of respect has to be given to that top laner too, because he's a monster. And if he can control Myrwn, that could be the in that GAM need for this game.
Biggest problem I'm seeing right out of the gate. It didn't even take him till I got to say the name out loud. GAM playing on the red side. They banned the Skarner, they banned the Nidalee, they banned the Aurora. But the pick of the tournament so far, this Yone with the absolutely insane presence and win rate, 16-3. This champion so far at Worlds 2024. GAM lets it through. Mad are swift to pick it up. Their own bans, the Shyvana, the Rumble, and the Poppy. Anytime you get Yone, you are feeling great about the draft.
Absolutely. I mean, it is pretty shocking that GAM are going to be willing to give it over. Obviously, Elyoya, did really well on the Nidalee and play-ins, especially that was kind of the big focus from him there. Skarner is a pretty high prio pick, so is Aurora, but the tournament has felt like it's all been about Yone. And while Akali is a pretty strong answer here, Akali is a similar style of champion. The biggest difference to me is just that Yone does not have to really commit himself to the play in the same way. With the Soul Unbound, you can go forward, you can always snap back if it's looking bad. You're not in the same level of risk that these other assassin-style champions are, like Akali, when you go in.
Yeah, I think on the opposite side though, Levi is still getting a lot of comfort here on the Wukong, a near 87% win rate on this pick, and it's absolutely absurd in his hands. And we're still seeing the Ziggs come out for Supa, so MDK going back towards the style that I'm still waiting to see if it works for Supa in the bottom lane, but at least you have Fresskowy going on towards these melee champions that he does like to enjoy.
All right, let's see what GAM wants to go ahead and respond to. The second round of picks for Mad, not just going to be that Ziggs, but the Maokai along with it, so they will have some engage, a little bit of lockup for the damage for that Yone, for the Ziggs. Over on GAM's side, though, it is dive, Akali plus Wukong plus Kaisa. They are going in.
Yeah, and I think that's where you're going to see more than likely support plans trying to come through here for MDK. GAM still have that first rotation, so I think they'll try and lock in a Leona or something like a Rel on that next one, but at least maybe you can try and get something a little bit different. Alvaro's looked great on the Alistar, but even a Nautilus works very well with this Ziggs.
It's kind of interesting though, because honestly, if I was MDK, I'd rather be banning out top laners, because there's so many good supports that fit in the same class to me, where it's like you have Alistar, you have Rel, you have Leona, you have Nautilus. Like you aren't going to be able to really deny everything that they can go towards. So I'll see if they do want to go that route, but I do think throwing some protection bans for Myrwn is smart, because Kiaya obviously, going to be 5th pick here on red side. He has been, to me, undebatably by far the strongest player, from GAM. He has really been good. This guy is world class. So I think, you do want to protect your top laner.
And hey, it looks like MDK is thinking the same thing. You are Azael. Jack's going to be the first ban here from them in the second half. Meanwhile, GAM taking the Alistar out of the picture. Very, very powerful counter engage on this champion alongside engage. I can see the value in not wanting your divers to all be vulnerable to a pulverize at the same time, being knocked back away from the headbutt. Leona now also going to be banned out there, so taking out 2 of those potential tanky engage supports.
Yeah, and I mean, if I was Mad now, I was going to say you could even just potentially not do another support ban here, and you could do a Nautilus Rel trade, but if they're happy going for a different direction, I think that's fine. I would expect Nautilus. I mean, it's been the most common pairing with Kaisa pretty much since Kaisa came out. Yep. Blitz would be pretty spicy, but I don't think we're going to be seeing this without knowing what the support is.
Yeah, I think the Rakan is your best bet if you want that sort of engage tool still, and with so many of the other big engage tools down, that feels like it fits perfectly into the wheelhouse. The only thing that I've really seen bring in a Blitzcrank has been like Gen.G, they were playing this like Maokai Blitzcrank comp and seeing if they could make that work, but I think the Nautilus works really well here. It's something we see a lot paired with the Ziggs, just because you get that point and click ultimate from the Nautilus to set up then for the follow-up ultimate from the Ziggs, and if you've even got a Yone in the mix too, it means that something like a Kaisa could very quickly be mowed down.
Okay, never mind. When they changed the last second to Lulu there for a second, I was like, oh, interesting.
It could also be Lulu top. We have seen before, so
never underestimate Myrwn's champion pool. All right, so we do have the Nautilus locked in here for MDK, and the top laner will be one of the classic blinds in Gnar. So what does Kiaya want to pick into this? The Jax, the only thing they banned out in that second phase to protect the top lane. I'm curious where GAM's going to go here. The rest of the team is all going in full send.
Oh, okay. This is going to be really interesting. So it's very likely to be Smolder top here. There is some small chance that they could actually flex these around, but it should be Smolder top. I'm going to be interested to see how this actually goes out. You know, I do expect that Myrwn should be winning the 1v1 in the early stages. Smolder, though, you're just kind of playing for push. You're playing for stacks. You don't really need to be winning the actual 1v1 fights as long as you can kind of ignore the Gnar and just kind of fight the minions.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of, hey, look, I've got a slightly longer range. Maybe I can look for some stacking opportunities on the Gnar, but as Azale's saying, it's just to take it easy, just play for that push for the Smolder and make things just neutral in that regard. You get to scale into the later portion of the game. I am definitely keeping my eyes on the level 6 though for this mid jungle from GAM, because I feel like once Akali hits 6 and Wukong hits 6, those Void Grump fights can be so explosive for this comp, but it's up against Maokai and Yone on the opposite side.
And you know, this split, including the playoffs and regular season, this will be the 6th Smolder for Kiaya. He is 4-1 on the pick thus far, so has been pretty successful for him. You know, not one of his most played, but he does have an incredibly deep champion pool. A lot of his most popular picks obviously banned out here, but going towards that Smolder, and does give them a bit of that scaling win condition potentially here over on the GAM side. But I will say it maybe feels a little bit disjointed from what the rest of the comp wants to do, though of course, you know, the ulti is always good at assisting dive.
Yeah, the big question I have is how does it fit in with the rest of the dive? Can they get the value out of it since everybody else is going full send all the way in?
And that's what I'm really kind of worried about for the Dragon here, is that it's like, you know, yes, you can throw out the ulti if the rest of your team is diving in, but at the same time, if Yone's in your face, no one is really going to be there necessarily to peel. It seems like the rest of the composition all wants to go forward. So you could end up in these weird situations where you're kind of just like fighting against the Maokai and the Yone and always losing out. So we'll see how they do make it happen.
It's also as you start to move in towards like topside skirmishes. Yes, the Smolder is strong in the later portion, but early skirmishes definitely on the way of MDK.
We are already starting out with a couple of punches being thrown back and forth here as Emo loses about half the HP. Of course, it's so early on in the game time that it'll be very easy for him to go back and recover that with no real meaningful loss. Where are you guys expecting to see most of our action early on here in this game? Because I feel like with these two teams, it's got to be a bloody one, right?
Well, I mean, we're seeing them all stack up level 1. So, you know, MDK are looking for a 5-man invade here towards Raptors, trying to get some vision, potentially trying to figure out, is there going to be a lane swap here? You know, Ziggs and Nautilus obviously can be pretty effective in those lane swaps, but I also think they'd be pretty happy to be going up against this 2v2 here from GAM. So I think they're really just trying to get intel, figure out where this is going to be going, and they're actually initiating the lane swap.
Yeah, I think it's to try and just punish Kiaya, right?
Yeah.
Because this Smolder is not going to do well left on his lonesome underneath the tower. And it's also paired with Rakan, so someone that's also quite squishy in those early stages. So I think for MDK, it's, hey, we get to leave Supa on his own. He can just farm it out. And then we can start to move Alvaro in the map and get him involved very early. Because I think that's also how they break up in this game, is after this lane swap's complete, trying to play around Fresskowy with Elyoya, with Alvaro, and get this Yone rolling.
And MDK are kind of going for the very, what I consider to be like LCK style lane swap, where you just have your support lane mid, you know, alongside what in the regular season was always another AD carry. But in this case, it is going to be Kiaya laning with Emo here for now. He's just going to be kind of that backup and looking to see if he can get some stacks on these melee champions in those early levels. But yeah, it is going to set that Smolder quite a bit behind. Obviously, on the other side, Myrwn's going to be set behind as well, but it's less important for the Gnar.
I think it's also the fact that in their last game, GAM did not look so hot when it came towards the lane swap. It said EasyLove very, very far behind. And yes, Kiaya did come out on top in the Jacks, but I think that's where MDK kind of looked at that and said, GAM just don't really look like they're fully prepared for this. Now, Alvaro's moved down. We've seen this before. The TP should be coming through very shortly for Myrwn to come and join him on this bottom side. And I don't think this dive is going to be very successful for GAM.
Well, let's see. They still got a few more minions to clear through on the wave as MDK are crashing the wave into the top lane tier 1.
This is guaranteed kill. He's level 1.
Alvaro already flashing, hits level 2 right after the flash. Levi has to back out of the way of the Turbid aggro. Supa arrives, and the GAM dive fails on the first pass. It looks like they're coming back in to try to keep it going here as Alvaro about to be killed. There it is. Supa wants to get one back onto Levi, but he doesn't quite have the damage here just yet. Flashing past the grand entrance. Supa picks up Levi, makes it a 1-for-1.
I think the overgreed coming through from GAM on the repeat dive, they've gotten away. They should have just looked for the resets, but instead they try and go one more. Supa comes out with a kill, and Myrwn is chasing these GAM members right the way home.
Yeah, this is actually, you know, at the end of the day, though, still not that bad. Nice play from Supa, flashing up over that Rakan W there to be able to actually trade a kill back. If they didn't get that, it would have been really good for GAM. And we do have TP available on Kiaya, so he can just TP straight towards top, where Myrwn TP down towards bot and Supa TP down towards bot as well. So at the end of the day, you got first blood on the Dragon here for Kiaya. I think GAM are still pretty happy with the play. You know, definitely was a little bit more dicey than I was expecting, because Alvaro got level 2 right as they were going for that dive, and that made it a little bit more difficult.
All right, let's check back in mid here, where everybody's still just farming pretty normally. Fresskowy down to about half HP, but still comfortable enough here. Down about 10 CS, though, so falling a little bit behind is Alvaro and Supa trying to get this wave pushed up, crashed into the tier 1 turret. Alvaro caught by the grand entrance, so a little bit of damage going to find its way into the health bar as he's down to 300. Going to need to be a little bit careful here, as Levi is still in his blue quadrant, could make his way down if MDK stay pushed.
And that's why I don't think Supa was really helping him out on the engage. It was toss everything in towards that wave to just get a crash so they're not overextended for a potential play from Levi. But at the moment, the CS lead working out well for them. It's just, when you look at that top side, Kiaya gonna have a lot of pressures. Elio just goes in for a sec.
Yeah, it looks like Elio's just trying to annoy them, stop the backs, but he is now pretty low on HP, down to 200, gets out of the way of the satchel charge, which looks like Supa was trying to interrupt him in the battle dance, maybe stop him from getting away on that one, trying to get a summoner spell, but does not quite have the placement or the timing.
Yeah, and I think he's going forward, you know, kind of trying to harass them there and see if they'd overcommit on a chase, because again, as you touched on earlier, Levi was in the area, he was in the pixel brush in the river, so, you know, if MDK did get a little aggressive in that 2v2, could have been bad, but also Supa does lose a little bit of tempo here. It's going to give more time for EasyLove to be able to crash this wave. I don't think Supa's going to lose much, if any of it, but at the very least, it'll give EasyLove the time to be able to get this wave in and get his base off.
All right, TP back to the mid lane from Emo. First purchase is going to have the Hextech alternator there. Always feels good to be able to at least have enough gold for the first major component after you use that first TP. Fresskowy's now going to take the opportunity to go back to base himself, grabs the Berserker Greaves, now full build on Yone. Back up in top lane. I have to.
You could just slip it in there.
I have to, man. The champion finally has the win rate that justifies my disdain for him. As Myrwn, below half HP, gonna have to be a little bit careful here.
Levi
is
disdain
lurking.
for the jungler here pretty quick.
Yeah, Elio also making his way up here. All right, Myrwn is in some trouble. Tries to get the bounce away. Nicely done. Flashes over the wall just in time to avoid the knockup from the grand entrance.
Yeah, it's nice for him to escape, but this wave is still in an awful spot for him. He has no TP to get back here, and the wave is pushing away from him. And you've already got a nice gold lead opening up thanks to that early kill for Kiaya, and that's only going to extend even further now.
And that's why I think the dive actually was quite good for GAM, because they got double TP out, they got first blood. Yes, you trade a kill, but overall, they went out pretty heavily on the map, and Smolder's in a good spot now.
Ooh, nice dredge line there coming out from Alvaro. Elio has to flash away, but it still don't matter. That's Yone, baby. That's why you ban him. Nicely done. The fate sealed might have missed, but Fresskowy recognizing he can still flash forward for the last little bit of damage. MDK up 1.
And that's huge for Elyoya to actually set up these Void Grubs, because yes, you've got that big lead for Kiaya in that top side, but a lot of that lead was on Supa, who was trying to roam up to that play, but was going to be a little bit late. So the fact you get that kill in mid just sets up beautifully now for MDK, not only with the gold, but the objective as well.
Yeah, and the kill going on to Fresskowy is also going to feel so good. EasyLove getting pretty low here. You can see MDK are thinking about, do we want to actually go for the wraparound dive? Elyoya and Alvaro in the spot to do it, and if he is caught window shopping,
oh, that was so
I cannot
close.
believe he didn't flash that. That was like...
That looked like it was
calculated.
Honestly, that looked like it should have hit with how Nautilus hooks normally
with the
lollipop.
bubble at the end. Yeah, exactly. I thought he was just about to just die.
And obviously Supa agreed. That immediate ult was like, oh, I've got him, and then just barely have to escape.
If it did hit, he would have been in the sweet spot.
But
I feel
cool
like
guys don't look at explosions. He just walked away.
Oh, his sunglasses were on in that one, man. He was just walking
just the visor, the helmet comes down.
Yeah. Things going good for MDK right now. Up 1 kill, up a little bit of gold, but the 3 Void Grubs is the best part so far. But Levi has stolen away the enemy red buff. Alvaro flashing over the wall to chase him here. Levi now critically low, has to try to get away. Flashes over the wall himself. Going to be protected by his support, but he will not be protected enough. Levi's got no way home except in a body bag. flag. Nicely done from MDK, but they aren't done yet. Emo's your next target, 3v1. Akali popping the smoke, trying to get away from this one. Emo firing back with a 5-point strike, but there ain't nothing else to do. MDK, another 1-for-0 trade, punishing the red buff steal.
I mean, it's a nice thought from Levi. Go for the invade, get the red buff, but he's a little bit too late because Elyoya had already come back onto the map, was moving down there, and they just get caught out with the numbers advantage. And now that's 2 kills over to this Yone in the mid lane.
And this is a great punish from Alvaro. You know, moving around the map, he has been so on point, I think, for MDK throughout this tournament, especially in play-ins. There was a lot of hype around how much he was getting done for this team as the engaged player. And again, smart movement here helps to get another kill for Fresskowy. The Yone's 2-0 now, and that is going to get frightening.
And I think this is a big test now for Fresskowy because we've seen him get leads in the LEC before, but he hasn't always been able to convert them across. We think back to like the Tristana game he had against Fnatic, but now on this Yone with such a great start, this is a moment where he can step back and kind of shake off some of those narratives.
Absolutely, and I mean, honestly, you know, for a tournament where I think a lot of people were expecting maybe more from the MDK solo laners, you know, there was a lot of hype around Myrwn coming in, but it's been more around the bot lane and the jungle, right? You know, I think Supa and Alvaro have really stepped up for MDK. They've been getting a lot of these games that MDK is winning across the finish line, and Elyoya has been really solid as well. So, you know, for Fresskowy, if Myrwn can start really playing strong, can start carrying some of these games, you never know how far you can go, even though you're in a bad spot right now.
All right, we've got the gank squad coming up. Alvaro and Elyoya ready to make this dive happen on Kiaya, who eats the sweet spot on the Mega Inferno Bomb. It's so easy for Elyoya to follow it up with the Twisted Advanced Bramble Smash to secure the kill. Nicely done. MDK with a 4-1 lead.
And this is great, and I also think this is where MDK are at their strongest. When you've got Elyoya and Alvaro working together like this, playing around the map, is something we didn't always get to see when Alvaro started to shift over to things like the Braum, but right now, GAM are feeling the pressure of what this duo can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you start getting the push, if Ziggs starts getting access to the towers, it can be frightening. They obviously already have those 3 grubs. Emo is going to be able to trade 1 plate down on that bot side, and do have some scaling threats, but MDK really in control, feeling comfortable thus far.
Yo, a little bit less comfortable maybe with the enemies taking the dragon, but first dragon, Cloud Dragon, doesn't really mean a whole lot of anything. That's pretty much the only thing GAM have acquired this entire game. You can see total gold on the left side of your screen. It is the carries of MDK leading the charge, and it's about to get even worse. Fate Sealed and Dredge Line again. It's Alvaro setting things up for Fresskowy, but they just barely don't have enough damage to get another kill.
Emo just barely able to escape away from that one. Well, nicely done to get away, because I thought he was doomed in that position, but good flash and the follow-up on the perfect execution managed to escape.
I mean, he survives, it's nice, but at the same time, it feels like every one of his ultimates is using to run away, right? Is being used on that defensive, so now he has no flash, he has no ulti, so when you're looking towards this next fight at Grubs, well, what is Akali going to get done there? Probably not a lot, so MDK could potentially look for that 6 Grub play here. And we'll see if they're going to go for it, as Supa's just TPing straight back to mid. He has the Luden's Companion done now, so it's going to be at quite a strong point of the game.
I feel like these neutral objectives are far more desynced than they are in most games that we see. Usually they're around the same time where one and the other gets taken, sometimes desynced by a minute or two, but 4-minute desync means that everybody's pretty much just only got one thing they're looking at on the map right now, and MDK are the first ones to the prize. 4 grubs already secured, so they will have Void Mites, but they would love to have the extra ones here from these other 2, and GAM is nowhere in the neighborhood, so it looks like this will be an easy 6 grub game 1 for MDK.
Yeah, they're kind of window shopping in a different neighborhood, though. I wasn't sure if they wanted to try and hop over that wall and go on towards Supa. Alvaro was just on the reset, but instead they're just going to try and steal away some of these camps on the bottom side, although Fresskowy going to spot out, it looks like Levi in a second.
Myrwn trying to get the extended trade here on Kiaya. Narbar nearly charged, transforms there with a wallop onto the cannon minion just to make sure he gets the extra little bit of HP. Is getting kind of low here.
Yeah, and Kiaya does still have the ulti available, so Myrwn has to be a little bit careful.
Right.
You know, if you get tagged by a couple more spells, you might actually be able to look for the all-in. I mean, one more Q, a W, and an ult, you could actually die here. So Myrwn just trying to push out that wave, but this is getting a bit dicey.
Yep, the plan all along was to try to bait him in for the Maokai. The Mega Inferno Bomb even made its way up there, but flap, Kiaya takes him out. He knows there's no way back to safety. The only way home is through a gray screen, and Kiaya with the execution gets the outplay. Myrwn Myrwn way overplays his hand.
Yeah, you're playing with fire. The dragon's definitely gonna burn you. Myrwn was so low, but really stubborn. You know, didn't want to give up the push there. Really wanted to be able to make it crash. Gives over an easy one to Kiaya, and the fact that he didn't even get a single auto on him for a trade kill means it's an execute. And GAM are going to be feeling pretty happy about that. But still, the 6 scrubs, they take down the tower. Yeah. It's still, you know, going to be a positive gold play here on the map for GAM.
Yeah, didn't even have to use the helicopter parent in that one. Got to hold on to the ult. All working well out for GAM, but yeah, as you say, the tower taking, the gold's still going to be there, and the fact you're still investing a lot more time from GAM onto this bottom side sets up mid.
All right, they want to go in after EasyLove here. He commits the Killer Instinct pretty early, pops both Summoner spells as well. Honestly, kind of surprised that EasyLove wanted to spend everything there, considering it was just the Maokai and the Nautilus going in for.
That's what I was going to say, is I think he didn't realize that there wasn't any damage dealers coming.
Right.
I think with just the ultimate alone, yeah, you're going to take some damage, but you can kind of just slowly walk your way out, and maybe he was nervous about where Fresskowy was on that Yone.
I think he wasn't certain on Supa's ult timer, because you can see it's about to tick up, and with that damage coming in over the top, maybe that's enough. But yeah, I think you can definitely see the pressure on GAM to make sure that they're not giving away some of these easy kills.
I mean, hey, that's just going to be that many more opportunities for MDK to put a target on this guy's forehead, right? Like, it'll be very, very easy to kill this Kaisa without those resources, considering how easily they've been finding picks so far in the first 14 minutes of the game.
Well, and it's kind of a similar problem to what we saw happen, you know, to Emo in the bot lane, where he loses his summoners, he loses his ultimate right before a fight. Well, guess what? In a minute here, we're going to have the dragon spawning. You know, Herald is up now, so it's like you can't really fight Herald with no sums and no ulti on Kaisa. So even though they don't earn themselves a kill, MDK are going to earn themselves objectives with every one of these plays.
It's a down payment, right? You don't get anything immediately, but here in a couple of minutes, you're going to see some dividends. As now, they're looking to see another kill. Emo trying to get himself away, but the wombo combo, man, immediately the Nature's Grasp, Mega Inferno by Fate sealed one after the other, and right now, it is Mad's game, and GAM are just living in it.
Yeah, you can see it on the Mastercard lane economy snapshot, but it might be about to change. As Myrwn will just hop away. But still, it's just good moves around the map from MDK. Yes, they will lose mid-turret, but they've got so much gold. And also,
they broke the
inhibitor turret as well.
It's not even 15 minutes, bro. They broke the base.
Isn't MDK usually on the opposite side of this?
What is happening?
Well, I mean, they're getting a lot of gold. It's just been trades on the map here for GAM. They're not going to defend on top side, so instead they push in mid. They do get that tier 1. They get a little bit of chip damage down on that bot side as well on the tier 2, and they will go towards the dragon. It is now a 2.5k gold lead for MDK, though. They have been punishing these side lanes so effectively with that Ziggs ult. I mean, Supa is really strong at this point, already up 1k, and that Ziggs ult hurts.
I also think this is just, oh, hang on, here we go.
Okay, Elyoya and Alvaro find Elio in the brush, but that's not really the target you want to engage on. They don't really have a whole lot of vision on the rest of GAM.
Yeah, Myrwn, Gnar about to tick out, but this is a significantly cleaner version.
Oh, they're TPing, we're gonna fight.
Yeah, we got the TP going in as Elio engages with the quickness. Mom swoops in. Alvaro's the first to die as EasyLove grabs the kill. Emo versus Supa off to the side is another shutdown going the way of GAM. Elyoya in the middle of everybody, flashes back over the wall into the bot side. River trying to use the Bramble Smash to get himself away as Emo's gonna be cleaned up by Myrwn, and now another one killed on GAM's side. Elyoya so incredibly low, but he goes back in. Levi still takes him out. Myrwn's about to go mega. Gnar slams that Wukong back into the wall. And GAM drops to the power of the Gnar. Myrwn showing up big with a triple.
GAM tried everything there, and it looked dicey for a second for MDK, but the wallets are just too big. MDK able to turn it around.
Exactly, and to me, it's all about the target selection here for GAM. Look at the targets that are caught. It is the support, it is the jungle, it is not the carries that are really being threatened. Emo on the side does catch on to Supa, but the Gnar, the Yone are largely untouched, are doing so much damage. You know, Levi's flashing over the wall, again, chasing to try to kill off the enemy Maokai. It's just not the right target to be dumping the damage into.
Man, would have felt great if Kaisa had Cleanse and Flash in a fight like this, and that's what we were talking about earlier, those summoner spells, the long cooldowns that they got earlier, it earned them this fight that Myrwn is able to just stomp his way out of with an extra 1,000 gold in his pocket from all those kills.
It does show you, though, that you can never really be caught sleeping against GAM, though, because if MDK weren't able to collapse, that could have been the moment for GAM, so it may not be working out for them in game number 1, but MDK definitely going to be wary of it as this series goes on.
All right, Levi gets caught here by the twisted advance, and now Alvaro again just ready to keep him locked up with a dredge line. Maokai ulti coming through too. Supa backs up. He knows that Levi's only potential play here would be to try to jump onto him and find some burst, but it ain't gonna happen. MDK up 5,000 gold 17 minutes into the game, and they might just take a tier 2 down here in bottom lane and build it even further. Another nice engage from Alvaro. They get the kill on Kiaya through the flash anyway. Elio's way too late to try to save anybody, and GAM is absolutely shattered in game number 1. MDK is showing them how it's done.
And this is some of the cleanest League of Legends I'm seeing MDK play all year. Like, it's great working through side lanes, playing through Fresskowy's lead, using their push in mid off of Supa to access these side lanes. This is a very clean map state from MDK. And it's a big thumbs up from a lot of LEC fans.
I mean, it's a massive gold lead at this point, just about 7,000 in the advantage for MDK. They got the 6 early grubs off of that early pressure that they were putting on there, never allowing GAM to really be in a good spot to fight prior to those objectives. And GAM realized the game was slipping away, go for that one punch in that TP play, can't find the right targets, get burst down, and now it is just feeling nearly impossible. Yone on those 2 items, incredibly strong. Everyone across the board has a massive advantage. I mean, it's 2.6k gold lead for the Yone. That's almost an entire item.
Yeah, and I gotta give more props to Alvaro. I feel like the dredge lines have been so on point throughout this entire game. Nautilus is the champ that I pick every year in my pick'ems to be the inting king. This champion is so easy to just throw yourself into the black and white screen on, and he's been doing a great job of setting up plays, not overextending, putting himself in a spot. Did I really just curse it?
No, he's fine.
Okay, all right, he got away. I had to make sure. I'm so sorry, Alvaro.
But I think you're right, Flares, and this was something when initially he came into the league back in winter, he was phenomenal. Everyone was like, oh my god, we've got this rookie support that is terrorizing the league, in conversation for one of the best supports in our league right now. And then it kind of drifted into spring and summer, and we just didn't see that same Alvaro. But coming into season finals and playoffs and now on the world stage, Alvaro is showing why he was making such a name for himself at the start of the year. And it's great to see this rookie performing on this main stage once again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, players love to talk about how much you can actually learn at a tournament like this, and to be able to see, some of that development here live on stage is awesome. MDK also picking up so many of those luxury items that are going to deny any possible comeback from GAM. There's double locket, there's a Seekers on the Ziggs, they're gonna go for the H.
Ooh, Supa with a flash away to deny the quickness. Alvaro keeping Levi zoned out here as well as Myrwn makes his teleport into the fight. The satchel charge secures the destruction of, remember, this is the second tier 3 turret destroyed in the GAM base. That first one up in the top lane was destroyed 5 minutes ago. The Akali smoke has to be used here as Supa now with no flash left to try to get away. Killer Instinct jumps in from EasyLove with the Fate Seal coming back from Fresskowy. He's found his way onto Kiaya, now looking to tear him apart instead. Kiaya's first to die. EasyLove's gonna be killed. A nice stasis from Supa to survive the dive in from Emo, who's still trying to go back in for him. Finds the kill finally, but he's gonna trade his own life back for it anyway. 3 dead on GAM for only Supa on MDK. They are pushing straight for the throat.
Myrwn was just in the base the entire time, clearing out these minions, and now it's just a red carpet, and it's GAM's blood that they're walking over.
It's Elio and Levi trying to stop the game from ending just barely 20 minutes in. Levi's about to die, and Elio can't do a thing about it. MDK still got a couple of minions left. They have the next wave marching up. It's a couple seconds on EasyLove and Kiaya, but the turrets are already gone. MDK are on to the Nexus. GAM will try and fight, but try as they might, they'll say goodnight. MDK with a 20-minute win in game 1.
And what a start here to the series for MDK. Talk about a confidence builder. You come out, you crush your opponents in this first game. But I've got to say, no way are they leaving Yone unbanned again, man. Just no way.
I'm in shock. I can't believe how clean that was. This is insane.
That was damn impressive from MDK in game number 1. They run it back like that again, and we might have ourselves a pretty fast series here to kick off the first elimination day at Worlds 2024. We'll be back with more right after this. We're heading to a break. Don't go anywhere.
In the dojo. You wanna head high? In the dojo.
Red Bull gives you wings.
在抵达那一刻之前，
你能做的只有等待。
如果故事再重来一次，我想这批烂物还会做出相同的选择。
等待比分失衡，企图从中看清胜负的端倪。
等待一切安静，好听清自己脑海里的声音，直到抓住那一刻。
他们可能会因为激进而失误，但是不会因为胆怯而畏惧。